Now this week, some of the biggest stars in music are taking over the Royal Albert Hall, all to raise awareness for the Teenage Cancer Trust.
Well, the special concerts were the brainchild of charity patron and frontman of rock band The Who, Roger Daltrey. He's with us today alongside Phoebe Moore and her daughter Phoebe, who know just how important the trust actually is and the work that they do. And we both visited the Cancer Trust hospitals. They are amazing places. Roger, why you? What got you involved?
Well, the charity was started by my GP and his wife, Myrna, Adrian Whiteson and his wife, Myrna. And they just recognised that the teenagers of these days, unlike years ago, where they didn't have their own identity, are extremely different than children or older adults. And when they were diagnosed with cancer, they were isolated. And isolation for anyone with cancer is probably the worst thing you can ever do to them.
Well, Suzanne, your story is quite extraordinary of your family. Apart from the fact that it is incredibly rare what happened to you guys. But starting with Angus, who was 14, he got sick. Backwards and forwards to the GP. GP said, oh, it's just, you know, growing pains, just a teenager. It was not that.
Not, no.
So what did you find?
We found out it was New Year's Eve 2008 that he had acute lymphoblastic leukemia and that he needed to be moved to the children's ward at Addenbrooke's Hospital.
And so, this is our whole point and the reason that we're here, because he had 3 years of chemo. I mean, an incredible hospital and great treatment.
Absolutely.
To say that first. But the problem was that he was on this children's ward with no one of his age, no one to share his experience with.
Yeah, I must stress that the treatment both my children had at Addenbrooke's was 100% second to none. He didn't want to play with the clowns. He didn't want to do music therapy. He wanted to play on his PlayStation 100% of the time.
And how did that make him feel?
He was very isolated. It didn't give him the opportunity to discuss his feelings very easily. Something that the Teenage Cancer Trust offers for older children. He was very much inside himself. You know, he was angry. He was scared, and didn't really want to talk to his mum and dad about it. But yeah, it was a hard time.
The treatment was successful and he's now in remission. And this is where this extraordinary story, as Phil said, because the chances of this happening are so incredibly rare. Because Phoebe, 5 years later, you're 19, you're experiencing back pain. And after sort of 4 months of time, you finally got the diagnosis and it was the same as your brother.
Yeah, exactly the same. Not just the same cancer, but the same strain, the same everything. So, yeah.
But what are the chances of that?
They said 1 in 100, a million or some huge number. I don't know the true number, of the exact number, but it's not unusual if you have a family member with cancer for somebody else to have cancer, but for them to have the same is very unusual, I believe.
But that's where the similarities ended, because for you, again, you went to Addenbrooke's as the same hospital, but by this point, the Teenage Cancer Trust had opened their ward, and this was an entirely different environment. Explain the treatment you got there.
The treatment was more or less the same, but it's just the way they sort of gave it to you. The nurses and everyone there weren't paediatric nurses. They were trained not for children, they were trained for adults.
And did you make friends with people on the wards at similar ages as you?
So there's most of the rooms are separate, but there is a bay of a few beds. So when you're on there, you get to talk to other people if you want to. And then there's social areas where you can just sort of sit, and if someone wants to talk to you, you can talk to them. And then there's a day unit, so there's lots of different places that you can meet people, and obviously relatives and parents and whatever are all there as well. So if the actual child doesn't want to talk to anyone else, the parents have someone to talk to.
Which is really important.
And there's rooms for us to use for if you want some space, if you need to go to the quiet room. But yes, we did make friends.
For you, as you say, what a difference that makes for everybody's peace of mind. To have this happen to both of your children, that's got to pull the rug right from underneath your feet. But then to know that, this is a much more different experience.
Yes.
would certainly help. And layered on top of that, you've got the stress of Keith, her husband, who goes in to visit Phoebe and then has a heart attack, needs triple bypass.
Indeed, yes.
It's a good job he had it in the hospital.
Just to add to the
Yeah, we were very lucky that he was on the Teenage Cancer Trust ward, and we owe a lot to the 3 nurses who basically kept him alive until the crash team arrived. And
wow.
So, yes.
So we can see now, Roger, why the difference that this makes.
Exactly. It's age appropriate. With, you know, the first children's hospital came out in 1802. We're now in 2019. We should recognise that this group now, 13 to 25, they need age-appropriate accommodation within the hospital system, because the psychological well-being is all important to the success of any medicine.
Yeah.
So for any hospitalised illness for this age group, they deserve to be amongst their peers.
And many people make the mistake, because it's on an NHS property, it's within the hospital, that it is some way funded by the government. Yeah. It is not. This is a charity.
No, that's one of the biggest problems we have, is that people go to the NHS hospitals and they walk into our units, which are brand new. We keep them, you know, really well maintained, well staffed, and they go, well, isn't the NHS great? They don't realise that we've had to pay for every brick, every window, every piece of flooring. Everything in that unit is paid for by the charity. So our running costs, we're only a small charity. We have 29 hospital wards throughout the country. Some with not a lot of beds, some with only 4 to 6 beds, but equally we don't need wards where the beds are empty. You know?
This is where the concert comes into it. I mean, this is a massive fundraiser for the charity. I think over the years, is it something like £79 million that you've...
I don't like to think about it. The money, isn't it? It's bringing the needs of the charity to the public, because I feel that if you can inspire the public that something needs to be addressed, if you can inspire them, they will help you achieve it. And this needs to be done.
This week, as we just said, so from tonight all the way up to Sunday, you've got various artists this week. Rudimental, Kevin Bridges, there's comedy as well as music, Take That, and The Script. And as we said, all the money raised goes to this incredible charity that helps an awful lot of people, a few of which Roger just wanted to say thank you to you. Have a look at this.
I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Roger and everyone at Teenage Cancer Trust for everything you've done for me.
You have been the driving force behind all of the amazing Royal Albert Hall concerts that has raised money that has and continues to make an incredible difference to young people like me diagnosed with cancer.
I want to give a special thank you to Roger. It is awesome for me to see my cancer friends go to these gigs and have such a great time.
I'd like to say thank you to Roger. He has helped raise over £29 million.
So a huge thank you from me, and good luck for next week.
Oh, man, you guys you've raised over £40,000 that you've raised as well.
Very good family, friends and work colleagues, we've raised.
Are you going to the Royal
We are.
Albert Hall?
We're going to the comedy night on Tuesday night.
Oh, great. Oh, we'll enjoy that. And we'll put all the details on our app as well. I've had to get tickets.
Well done, Roger.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway,
Lovely
thanks
to see
for
you
the
all.
support.
Thank you
We
very
appreciate
much.
it.